Hello everyone. I'm making this video partly to raise awareness, or maybe a correct way to put it would be to generate discussion about a specific issue in India. And I'm doing this for two reasons: partly to bring about that discussion, but also as an open question out there, specifically to any potential Indian viewers. Um, there's something that I would like to know because the subject is vigilantism. That is basically the public taking the law into their own hands. Now, why am I focusing on India for this? Because obviously this is something that could be found across the world. The reason I'm focusing on India is it does seem to be a very high proportion of videos online from India purporting to show this sort of, well, not purporting to show, actually showing basically angry locals roughing people up. In most cases, the targets are young men, sometimes older men, sometimes women, but mostly younger men. Um, and there seems to be a variety of reasons. Sometimes it is due to so-called eve teasing, which is a description for sexual harassment. Sometimes it is for theft. Sometimes it is for another form of sexual harassment, looking at a girl in the wrong way if that's perceived to be making her uncomfortable or whatever. So there seems to be a variety of reasons to, in inverted commas, justify this. And it does seem to be very, very common in India. I'm sure it happens in other countries. In fact, I know it happens in other countries. I spoke about the case of a girl in Guatemala that was beaten to death by a mob not so long ago. And it has even happened in Britain as well. So this is not something that is restricted to developing countries. By the way, the reference I'm making when I say it's happened in Britain is to alleged paedophiles being targeted. In the case of India, it tends to be, of course, there's a history of caste-related violence, but that's a different issue. This specific thing seems to be down to a sense of vigilantism. Um, the videos are sometimes graphic, sometimes it's a case of the guy being roughed up a bit before the police arrive. Um, from my observation, it seems to be that vigilantism happens when people are fed up with a specific problem. Now, in India, the problem of sexual harassment and rape, for that matter, has been widely covered, and India has got a very controversial reputation for this. I think it's fair to say. I'm saying it's fair to say that the reputation is there. I'm not saying it's fair to say that India necessarily deserves that more than other countries do. It may be that there's just more awareness of it in India. Certainly since those girls in the bus in, I believe it was in Delhi in 2012, ever since then, this has been a very hot topic and it's been going on ever since then. So I don't know if it's men in society getting fed up with all being tarred with the same brush, so they're taking out on these guys, or whether they feel that they want to protect their women. I'm not sure what the motivation is. Sometimes it's women that are doing the beating themselves. Um, in the case of thieves, I don't know if it's a case of high crime. I've never heard that India's got particularly high crime rates compared to other countries. I wouldn't have thought it was higher than, for example, Latin American countries. So I'm trying to work out what is the specific reason why this seems to be so common in India, um, and I'm basing that on the sheer number of videos that are online over this. Like I say, many of them are alleged thieves. Many of them are alleged um, perverts or whatever you wanted to describe it as. Um, I'm going to throw in a few of my own thoughts here. And this is just my opinion, so you can agree or disagree. But I have to say, I feel uncomfortable with mob justice. The reason being is because it creates an anarchy. It creates a situation where anything goes. Um, and one of my main concerns about mob justice is that there's no real way to really, if there's no trial, if there is no due process, then all it takes is a misunderstanding and someone can be roughed up. Say, for instance, you have an outsider. Say, I don't know, a guy is passing through from another village or whatever, and there is a misunderstanding, um, and then someone accuses him of something. All it takes is for that person to kind of attract attention and say, this guy's done this or that. The locals are obviously going to take their fellow vendor's side or whoever it is doing the beating, and then the person has no chance. It doesn't matter if they're pleading that they're innocent. And I have seen a few videos where um, people may well be innocent. Now, just to be clear, I'm not saying that is the general situation. I have no doubt that a lot of these guys are guilty of what the people are accusing them of. But even if they're guilty, I would still say that it makes me uneasy to see this. Now, this is not because I'm a neoliberal on crime. I'm actually pretty hard line on crime. For example, if someone's a long works long hours at their stand, their vending stand, and they have to put up with thieves, I would completely understand their anger and frustration. And if that was me, I'd probably want to deck the person as well. So it's not that I don't understand the anger, or if I had a female relative who'd suffered from a rapist or had been sexually harassed and I saw another man doing that, I'd be pretty angry. So the response is human. Um, but I do think that this has to be through due process. Now, I don't know if it's a breakdown in trust with the police. I don't know if it's a case that the locals just don't trust the police to do their job, or they think that nothing will happen. I know that was certainly one of the main allegations against Indian police in terms of the perceived rape crisis that India was going through, in that too many women simply weren't getting justice. The system was extremely bureaucratic. I don't know if this is true, but I've heard that rape cases can take as long as 10 years to process. Um, so I don't know if it's just frustration that the legal system lets people down. Certainly, this frustration could be echoed around the world, but I still think that it's unfortunate if that then results in vigilantism, because, like I say, all it takes is a misunderstanding, and an innocent man or an innocent woman is going to be accused of something, and that makes me very uneasy. Most of these cases tends to be the person is roughed up a bit, then they end up in police custody. But in some cases, people are killed, and it's you can't have that in in I don't like to say civilized society because that leads to the wrong impression about my own purpose in making this video. But I do think it leads to anarchy, and I do think it breaks down the fabric of society when you have a situation where anything goes. People just take the law into their own hand. So I'd like to hear Indian views on this. Do you agree with what I'm saying? If you disagree, well, do you really think that this is progressive for a society whereby anything goes? And just to be clear, I'm not saying that I sympathize with rapists or thieves. I'm not saying that. You know, I understand the anger because I've been a victim of crime. I know what it's like. Um, these people should be punished, but I believe it should be in a court of law. So could it be that this is happening in more rural areas? I haven't seen that many videos from Mumbai or Delhi or other big cities. So it could be that it's a bigger phenomenon in rural areas. Maybe there's limited police resources. I don't know what it is, but I'd like to hear Indian opinions as to why. I mean, anyone's free to comment, but I would particularly like to hear Indian views on this as to why this seems to be so widespread. Um, the abundance of videos may be misleading. It may just be that in India it's filmed more than it is in other countries. I don't know, but I'd like to hear opinions on this. Personally, I'm uncomfortable with it, regardless of what the perceived crime is. And again, you know, it's not a case that all these guys are innocent. I'm sure sometimes they're caught right in the act, but at the same time, I do believe there could be misunderstandings. I've just seen a video entitled guy beaten up and he had his head shaved for photographing a girl. Now, it may well be that he was doing that for the wrong reasons, but what if you have a situation where someone is I don't know, photographing a landmark and a girl just happens to be in front of him. I'm not saying that was the case, incidentally. I'm just saying that's the sort of misunderstanding that could happen. And I do feel that there's going to be a lot of innocent men targeted if this situation continues. So clearly there needs to be more of a rule of law. The legal system needs to show that it is providing justice, punishing criminals. Yeah. Um, Maybe this is because of India's huge population, so maybe there is a limited resources. For example, limited numbers of police trying to handle a very big population. There could be a whole range of factors. So let me know your thoughts. If you're from India or you're an Indian, what do you think of this? Do you agree that there is a bit of a phenomenon with this sort of vigilante justice? Um, do you disagree? Do you think that it's just a perception? Because I'm telling you, there is a very large number of these videos online, so there must be something in that. I'm just interested, that's all. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you.